Hey guys, this is Mr. Wildman again with the narrator voice on day 2 of our Google Classroom tutorial. You'll notice that I am already at classroom.google.com in my browser Google Chrome, and here we can see Spanish class section G that we joined in the last video. Once you've joined a class, it's always going to show up here in these boxes. I'm going to go ahead and click that box to look at our Spanish class. We were here yesterday and we talked a little bit about Stream, Classwork, and People tabs after joining. As I said yesterday, these assignments down here are listed just like a notification stream. They're in chronological order. There's not really any rhyme or reason to them. Your teacher is going to give you specific instructions, perhaps in the announcements on the stream or in person or through email as to what to do. But let's take a look at the Classwork tab to see if we can work through it a little bit, just in this example. In my example, I would tell my students to start with the materials. Materials on Google Classroom are links, they're videos, they're any sort of embedded knowledge that we could use sort of like a textbook or maybe like a worksheet or something that you might have in the classroom to learn from. It's not testing your knowledge, but trying to teach you something. So I have all my materials together. You know a material by this little icon. It's got a little book sort of thing with a bookmark sticking out of it. I'm going to go look at the first one here. This is a link to the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Language, so it's a good resource for what we do in my class. So you can click View Material. It's going to pull you to this page where it just shows you the material within Google Classroom. Any links are going to be media rich, just like you might see on Facebook or any sort of social media that has media rich links, which is basically everywhere all across the internet nowadays. So if I click that, it's going to take me to that material. You'll look at the instructions. My instructions are not very clear here, but your teacher may write something like read through this website or read a certain section of this website. I just have it as a resource that you can look at if you want to or not in this case. So if I go back to our materials, you can see through here I've got another article here. You can either click View Material and then navigate to the link, or you just click the link directly. It's going to take you to the link in another tab. In this case, it's an article on comprehensible language learning. So maybe your teacher's instructions are to read that to learn a little bit about that approach to language learning or whatever it is they're teaching. Then if I go to my World Readiness Standards material, you'll see that I have a video rather than a article. If I click the video directly, it'll start playing. How much fun is that? So these are some options that your teacher has for dispersing information to you. They could also send you something like a slides presentation. It would be here, you would click it, it would open in another tab, and you would be able to flip through the slides presentation. But that's that on materials. Those are just things that we can learn from that are posted on to Google Classroom. Make sure that you follow your teacher's instructions regarding how to access those materials and when to read or view or see what. Another type of thing we may see on Google Classroom is a question. If you look at the bottom of my index here, I have a weekly questions tab. These questions will also show up on the stream, just like everything else. You can see that first one right down there. However you choose to access it, once you click on the question, you'll see it here. This one is graded for 100 points. That's a little steep. I probably wouldn't actually grade questions for 100 points. But you get the idea that these things can be graded. Your teacher can put a grade on any of these things. Questions could also be not graded. It's sort of just up to the teacher. So it says, what is a Spanish word you already know and what does it mean in English? To answer this, I'm not going to comment because a comment would just be like a question that I asked the class or the teacher. I'm going to click in the type your answer box. I'm going to say that hola means hello. And then I'm going to click turn in. It'll ask me if I'm sure I want to submit my answer because I can't make changes to it. So make sure that whatever you put in these sorts of things, that you're fairly confident about it. Click turn in. And now I have completed that assignment. Once I have completed a question, if the teacher enables you to see other classmate answers, you can, and then you could click that little button and see what other people said and then reply to it. So your teacher may have you reply to other students' responses. You can imagine if I had a lot of other students in here, this would be a list of students. I could click on their particular answers and reply to them directly. It's very common in college classes that are online, and will become increasingly common, I think, for high school classes that are online too, especially in the wake of COVID and things like that, to have students reply to other students in these sorts of questions. It's also pretty common to just let these be participation based. So in my class, if I had these sorts of questions going on, I wouldn't be grading them for accuracy so much as participation. If I navigate back to the classwork tab, which I think is your biggest friend on Google Classroom, you'll see that I have an assessments tab set up, and I've got all my assessments here. Now, you can see these and click them individually, or over here under topics. Google Classroom is nice enough to show us those topics separately. I could click assessments and see them all at once. So that makes life a little bit easier. I've put in here 3 different types of assessments that you might see depending on your teacher. That's not to say that you will see these things, but just a possibility. Let's click the first one. This first one is called Meaningful Language Learning Quiz. It says watch the attached video and then take the quiz on meaningful language learning. I would click and watch this video. It's a 16-minute video, so we're not going to watch it, obviously. It's a TED Talk. And then I would click the Google Forms link. It would bring up a short quiz that I would take by clicking multiple choice, yes, no, and then send that into the teacher. I'm not going to open the Google Forms link because it doesn't say anything right now, but that's one example of a way that a teacher may choose to assess your knowledge through Google Classroom, is through a form. It basically looks like a multiple choice or short answer quiz that's just done online. It can also be done on a smart device like any of this stuff. If I navigate back to our assessments tab, another possible assessment could be a presentation. It says make a Google Slides presentation about what you have learned this week. We're going to get into this in our next tutorial, but for now, let's just say that's a possibility. A teacher could have you use Google Slides or Google Forms or Google Sheets or anything else as an assessment possibility. Then we'll look at our last one here. In English, write 1 paragraph about why you think language learning is important. Use Google Docs to complete this assignment. Again, we're going to look at Google Docs in a separate video, but I just wanted to show you those possibilities. So the point of this video is to show you what materials are, what questions are, how those classroom discussions work, and the different possibilities for assessments, which include any Google app. So that could have a Google form in this case. It could require you to do a Google slide, which we're going to look at, or it could require you to turn in a Google Docs, which we're also going to look at later in the week. That's all I got for you guys today. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow to take a look at Google Docs.